Good evening, Commissioners. We'll begin tonight's meeting. I'd like to say welcome to everyone that's decided to join us this evening, and we will begin tonight's meeting like we ordinarily do with a prayer and honoring our flags. So if you would, pray with me, please. Our Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessings that are ours because of your graciousness and your goodness shown to us each day. Lord, we pray your blessings over our community. We thank you for Clovis and the region. And Lord, we just pray that you would guide us this evening as we make decisions. We thank you for the privilege it is to serve you and live and work and serve here, and certainly the privilege it is to serve as the elected officials, elected by the people for the people. And we just pray and surrender this time to you, and I pray in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. If you would, join me in honoring our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, that is a symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Our meeting is called to order. Ms. Reyes, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Madrid?
Here.
Commissioner Casals? Commissioner Elliott?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant?
Here.
Commissioner Garza?
Present.
Commissioner Rowley?
Here.
Commissioner Paula?
Here.
Commissioner Burns?
Here.
Mayor Morris?
Here. Thank you, Ms. Reyes. Appreciate that. Commissioners, next is approval of the agenda. If you've had the opportunity to review the agenda, and unless you recommend rearranging or removing any of the items, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Motion to approve came from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant, second from Commissioner Madrid. Commissioners, please vote. By a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried. Next is approval of minutes. We have the minutes from the Thursday, December 16th meeting. Those minutes are in your packet. Assuming you've had a chance to review those, were there any corrections?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Rowley.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Garza. We have a motion and a second on the approval of the minutes. Commissioners, please vote. And the vote is unanimous. The motion is carried. Next is recognition of visitors, guests. Again, welcome to everyone. It's great to see you here this evening. We look forward to hearing from you when we reach the point in the agenda that you're here to share with us on. And I wanted to mention, I had heard from some folks, I think we have people joining by video conference as well this evening, or perhaps by phone. So welcome to anyone who is participating online, and we look forward to hearing from you later in the meeting. Next is proclamations, awards, and presentations, and we have a couple of those planned here this evening. The first is presentation of clocks to Distinguished Supervisor of the Quarter, Julie Winkles, with the Fire Department, and Distinguished Line Employee of the Quarter, Vicki Reyes, Administration. Mr. Howald.
I believe Ms. Burrows is hopefully on the...
Ms. Burrows joining us?
She is with us this evening.
Here she is.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. Thank you. I'd like to recognize Vicki Reyes as the Distinguished Line Employee of the Quarter. Vicki's been working with administration now for 19 years, and she just does an outstanding job. She takes all the minutes of all the commission meetings. She prepares all the agendas for all of the boards and committee meetings that we have throughout the city, and they meet all sorts of hours of the day and night, and Vicki always does a wonderful job of working with us in that regard. She also helps with lots of other events throughout the year. Most recently, of course, Wings and Wheels. She helps with the Christmas party. She helps with just everything that the city needs. She's our go-to person, and we really, really appreciate her, and I just wanted to recognize her this quarter for all that she does. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burrows, and thank you, Vicky Reyes, and congratulations on the recognition. I just had this really strange thought. She usually takes the picture.
I have
Are you gonna
volunteered
take
to
the-
do that this evening there.
Well,
She wants to do a selfie, Mayor.
Commissioners, any comments that you have, please feel free. I'll make my way down to hand.
Vicki, I'll just say a couple of things. You know, we appreciate you so much for watching over us and making sure that, you know, we're at the right meetings at the right time. And just for putting up with us, thank you.
Vicky, thanks again. You're always there for us. Any phone calls that we make, you always take, and you never hang up on us. So I'm happy for that. Thanks for what you do, which is always exceptional.
Vicki, thank you so much for all you do. I appreciate calling me when I'm late or something and forget. Appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Vicki, I really appreciate your smiling face whenever I'm in the city office. It's a welcome grin.
Agreed, Vicki. You're always welcoming, and you do always have a smile. Thank you.
Thank you for always putting up with me, answering my questions that I always have.
Yeah. Thank you, Vicki, for what you do. Now I don't know how to take a picture.
Oh,
Right.
Deal.
All right, for the distinguished supervisor of the quarter, Julie Winkles with the fire department. Chief Nolan, would you like to share with us?
Sure. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. Yes, I'd like to share with you.
Great.
And Ms. Claire doesn't let me talk long, and, yeah, so, Julie Winkles. Julie is in charge of our administrative division in the fire department. She has, come March of this year coming, she will be with us for 12 years with previous governmental experience before she came to us. And I don't have a whole bunch of things to say about Julie, except for she is what keeps the fire department running. So that's everything.
Well,
We're very thankful that we have Julie, and just as I am very camera shy and can't hardly speak in public, I've offered Julie to come up and speak to y'all. Julie, would you like to say some words? No, she's worse off than I am. Oh, goodness. We do thank Julie for being with us.
certainly, and I'm glad to know that she runs the fire department. Isn't that what you said? She keeps the fire department running?
He does.
She does. Well, thank you, Julie, and I'll make my way down. Commissioners, any comments that you have, please fire away.
Julie, thank you very much. We all know who's in charge, so keep up the good work. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Appreciate you so much.
Julie, thanks for your dedication to not only the city of Clovis, but your department as well. Congratulations.
Always nice to be able to be involved even in the small way that we are on the recognition of the distinguished employees of the city. Once again, congratulations to both of you. Next, we have the presentation of the 2021 Holiday Yard of the Month, which I'm excited about. I hope we have pictures. Do we have pictures? Commissioner Madrid, we'll give you the floor for this.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm going to have to relinquish the floor to Vicki.
I'm going to have to relinquish it to Justin.
Somebody please take the floor.
Read what Kelsey provided me. Throughout the month of December, the City of Clovis organized the Holiday Yard of the Month contest. to recognize local residents for their outstanding holiday outdoor decorations. During the 3-week nomination period, 24 houses were nominated throughout our 4 districts. The public then voted for their favorite houses within each district. We received 1,010 votes. The winners are here today to be recognized for their outdoor decorations. I don't know do each one of you have the list? All right, so now I'm going to turn it back
Let's
over.
begin with District 1.
Okay. Tell me what to do.
Just read the winner on the certificate.
Winner from, one winner from District Run, Michael Schmidl and Rita Ducommun.
Are you here this evening? Oh, great. Yeah.
Don't be shy, don't be shy.
Let's give them their certificate.
All right, the next one is Jeremy Tuchner. Is Jeremy here? There they are. All right.
I'd like to say a little something about this house because I did drive by it this year. It puts Las Vegas to shame. It is unbelievable with its light show.
No. I'd like to just ask how long that took you to put up. Hey, every year, how long does it take you to put that together?
Probably a week
Really? Wow.
for Thanksgiving and then, for Halloween.
Beautiful display.
Good job.
Thank you. District 2?
Here you go. Denise Long.
Okay, District 2,
We got Denise Long already.
Denise.
Commissioner Rowley mentioned
Yep.
that we have Denise Long,
Denise Long.
1440 Axtell.
all right. And Holiday Yard of the Month for Augustine Gomez at 1617 Wilshire. Are you here?
1617 Wilshire,
Agustin Gomez? No?
not here? Well,
We'll get
congrats
that
anyway.
too.
Very nice looking.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Madrid, District 3.
Okay. Joe Sanchez, 1904 Eccles.
Sanchez.
Nope. Okay. Janice Lopez, 2004 Cameo. Nope.
Lopez, not here. Okay.
Okay, we'll save the best district for last. 3205 Lore, Mr. Jeff Lynn.
Where's Jeff?
Good job, Jeff. Okay, and that last one in District 4 is Ronaldo Martinez at 213 West Yucca Avenue.
All right, Ray. You should come over here, Patsy. I know you had a lot to do with it, Patsy.
And I was going to say, Ray is actually a retired City of Clovis employee.
Yep.
So we see what he's doing with his time on his hands now.
Good job, Ray.
Well done, commissioners, and again, one last congratulations to all of the winners that were recognized for the nice-looking holiday displays. Appreciate that. We will move on now to receipts of petitions and communications. And commissioners, we had one plan there from PRMC. However, Mr. Cruz wasn't able to make it after all. Oh, I thought maybe. Okay.
No, David, if you'd come on up, please. Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, just want to take a quick opportunity to introduce you to our new IT Director, Mr. David Birch. David comes to us after retiring, being in the education industry in the IT world. He worked at both CCC and Eastern New Mexico University from where he retired. And so he started with us this week. We've already hit him with insurance renewals, trying to figure out everything we need for cybersecurity. He's working on servers that are a little bit of everything, he says. So it's been a busy first week for him, but we're glad to have him on board and just look forward to the many years that he serves here at the City of Clovis. And so David also is a big public speaker. And so I'm not sure if we're going to get too many words out of him either. So thank you, Mayor. Just want to take the opportunity to introduce David.
Glad you did.
Just thank you.
Welcome aboard, Mr.
Welcome to
Birch.
Clovis.
Welcome. Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, as I mentioned, we did have a presentation from, or an update from PRMC, but not anymore because it just didn't work out. We'll hear from Mr. Cruz in the near future, I'm sure. But while we are in receipts of petitions and communications, this is the portion of the agenda where if you have anything at all that you wish to bring before the commission, you're free to do that. We would just need you to come forward, give us your name and address, and share with us your thoughts on whatever it is. And I would say, I know that we may have some folks here tonight concerned with the adoption of the sign ordinance. We'll take public comment when we reach that agenda item. So I guess if you have anything else that you wish to bring before the commission, now is the time. Hearing and seeing none, we will move on, commissioners, to the consent agenda. As you know, the consent agenda is placed on the agenda so that the commission, by unanimous consent, can designate those routine agenda items that they wish to be approved or acknowledged by one motion. If any proposal does not meet with the approval of all commission members, or if a citizen so requests, that item will be heard when reached under the regular agenda. You have 9 items on the consent agenda this evening. The first is the motion to place, and the 9th is the motion to approve or acknowledge. I'll read 2 through 8. Item 2 is request for approval to apply and accept, if awarded, a New Mexico State Department of Transportation grant for the purchase of new airport terminal seating. Item 3, request for approval to apply and accept, if awarded, a New Mexico State DOT grant for the purchase of airport runway closure lighting system, lighted X's. Item 4, request for approval to apply and accept, if awarded, a New Mexico State DOT grant for the purchase of airport ground power unit. Item 5, request for approval to apply and accept, if awarded, a New Mexico State DOT grant to repair airport T-hanger doors. Item 6, request for approval of amendment to FY20 JAG interlocal agreement between the City of Clovis and Curry County. Item 7, request for approval to submit an amendment request to NMDOT grant CVN-21-03 for airport PAPI lighting. Item 8, request for approval of letter of support for Clovis Main Street Great Blocks Award. Commissioners, that is your consent agenda. I would entertain a motion to place the indicated items on the consent agenda by unanimous vote.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Garza, second from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. Commissioners, please vote.
And Mayor, while they're voting for those items to be placed on the consent agenda, we did have one change that we found out after the packet was issued. It would still be on consent. However, the grant that was on number 2 for the airport terminal seating, when the bids came back in for those particular seats, it was more than $21,000. And so we needed, the DOT has agreed to increase it by $4,000. So that one will actually be for $25,000, not the $21,000.
Okay, thank you for that. And by a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried and the items are placed on consent. The vote is unanimous. I would now entertain a motion to approve or acknowledge all items on the consent agenda.
Move for
Make the
approval.
motion to approve and acknowledge all items on the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Madrid, second from Commissioner Paula. Commissioners, please vote. And by a vote of 7-0, a unanimous vote, the motion is carried. Thank you. Next item, or next on the agenda, we'll move on to introduction and adoption of ordinances. Introduction and adoption of resolutions and ordinances. 2 items there this evening. The first is request for approval of adoption of ordinance number 2158-2022, repealing the existing sign code contained in Code Section 12.12 and establishing a new sign code in Section 17.45 of the Unified Development Ordinance. Commissioners, as you know, the work of the proposed sign ordinance began 2+ years ago. As the city took up that work, and we've received a tremendous amount of input from the business community and from the public on this. The sign code and the possible outcomes of what we do with that could have an effect on the aesthetics of the city, and obviously there could be impact to business and so forth. So it was important that we spend as much time as we did working on that and thinking about that over the last couple of years, especially over the last year, as we received a lot of input from the business community. Before we really get into this, I wanted to just remind you of the purpose of this and the purpose of of the sign code. Why do we need a sign code? Why are we doing this? And I just wanted to take you right into the proposed language in 1745.010. We read about the purpose. And it says, the purpose of this chapter is to regulate size, color, lighting, movement, materials, location, height, and condition of all signs within the city, thus ensuring the protection of property values and the character of various neighborhoods, aesthetic value of the city, while encouraging economic development. This chapter allows for adequate communication through signage while encouraging aesthetic quality in design, location, size, and purpose of all signs. This chapter shall be interpreted in a manner consistent with the First Amendment of the United States Constitution's guarantee of free speech, including its prohibition of regulation of signage based on content, viewpoint, or message. So we need a sign ordinance in order to protect property values and encourage economic development. Our current sign ordinance was out of compliance with a Supreme Court ruling many years ago now, which says that regulation of signs cannot include content. So we have to have a content-neutral sign code. So those are the main reasons. We want to comply with the First Amendment. We also want to make sure that our sign code contains standards that make sense for our community and going forward. As you know, in November, planning and zoning approved version of this came before us, and then there was debate. We all had ideas. We heard from the community. We heard from business owners, and that debate led to proposed options. I think each one of you, and including myself, have had input, and we've looked at different options, each time basing that debate and those discussions and looking at those options based upon what we're hearing from the community. You're elected by the people of Clovis to represent their will and their values, and you do that very well, and you've done a great job of listening. While we've looked at a bunch of different options, what is before you tonight, after hearing from the business community, hearing from the public, after frankly doing a lot more research about the repercussions of some of the options that were being considered, what is before you tonight is largely a really good set of standards for signage in our city going forward. Okay? We are, in what's before you this evening, we are grandfathering every sign. We're grandfathering every sign. So what we have is a proposed sign ordinance that would be a great set of standards going forward. It does give us the content neutral aspects that we needed in order to be in compliance with the First Amendment. It also does give us some teeth to do some enforcement and regulation of signs such as abandoned signs or signs that are in especially poor condition, right? So that's good. This proposed language does away with temporary signs within the city, and I think that that's a win. But as you know, it's kind of been a long, winding road to get here, but that's what's before you here this evening. And I'm happy to hear from the public on this evening. We'd love to hear from you. Perhaps before we do, I'll stop talking and give you commissioners the opportunity to say anything you have to say.
Mayor, may I make a couple of comments before you open up to the commission?
Absolutely, Mr. Morris. Go right ahead.
And good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. So just wanted to add on to your comment. First of all, the most recent draft, there's still about 25 or 30 copies, it looks like, on the podium. As you entered, this draft was, this hard copy was changed as recently as about 2 o'clock this afternoon. So,
Mr. Morris, can you come close to?
Sure. So the most recent copy of the draft, which is only recent as of about 2 o'clock this afternoon, is sitting on the podium right there for the public. Each one of you have a copy at the lectern. It's substantially the same as the one that was emailed first thing this morning, but I did want to offer a couple of points of clarification. Not all signs will be grandfathered. Non-conforming temporary signs and non-conforming directional signs that are not permanent, that are easy to move and replace, those won't be grandfathered in. And there are provisions for temporary signs still, but it's much more restrictive than our current sign code, which has 0 restrictions. So just those 2 points of clarification, but multiple drafts have been authored and alternatives given beginning in November 10th when this item was introduced, and it's all basically led to what's in front of you today. And so, again, I would be happy to answer any more questions about the history or the content neutrality or anything else if you have some, but I would turn it back over to the commission for discussion.
Thanks for that, Mr. Morris. Thanks for the clarification as well, and thank you for all your work on this over the last year and a half, 2 years. Appreciate that. Commissioners?
I would like to make a comment. I just want to clarify that it's my understanding that the current one that we're using right now has taken out the majority, if not every one of the major concerns that my constituents have raised to me.
Good.
And I think that this is something that that we can all be very happy to live with.
Okay, thank you for that, Commissioner Burns. Commissioners?
I can agree with Commissioner Burns, but I would like to hear more from the citizens that are here tonight to address the sign ordinance and address some of their questions and concerns.
And we'll definitely want to do that, and anyone that wants to share, please make your way up. But Commissioner Paula, I believe you had something to say.
No, Mayor, I was just going to add that I want everyone that's here tonight that's been involved in the process. I have thoroughly loved the rich discussion that we have had over this ordinance. I think that is the beauty of our democracy. I think that your commission up here, every one of us has listened very earnestly to every letter you have sent, every phone call you have made, every text you have sent, and that makes us better commissioners when you do. And I think this has been richly shaped by your concerns, and I'm actually proud of what we're presenting to you tonight.
Thank you for that, Commissioner. Mr. Greg Southard.
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity. Greg Southard, 1740 Barone Court. First of all, I owe some of you an apology for not responding more quickly with an email that I promised. Please forgive me for that. It's been a busy day, and I'm sure it has been for you as well. I want to first of all thank you for listening to the community and listening to the business community in particular in making the changes that we requested. Some of these things are going to be very expensive to business owners and very problematic. There are two concerns that I still have about the ordinance as it's presented here, and if I could just mention those. This is on page 7, 1745.040, point number 7. Signs which are affixed to or painted on a vehicle and contain advertising material other than to advertise the vehicle itself for sale. If a vehicle is parked in a location for the purpose of advertising and not for a legitimate purpose, business purpose, or in the course of regular or ordinary use of the vehicle. This seems aimed at what are called vehicle wraps, as I understand it, and I think vehicle wraps are becoming more common. It's a cost-effective way of advertising businesses around town. If I misunderstand what this is intended to do, I apologize. But as I read it, it strikes me as a prohibition against wraps, and I don't like that part of it. The other thing that I would that troubles me with the way it's written, and I thank you again for grandfathering in so many signs. I mean, I think in our discussions we discovered that almost every sign in town was out of compliance as it was originally written. One of the points which I don't understand, I don't know all the details behind it. This is on page 19, 1745.130. Point F, any billboard which was erected on or after December 5th, 2021 and is non-conforming to the provisions of this code shall be removed or brought into compliance within 1 year of the adoption of this code. Again, I don't know all the details. I understand that this pertains to one particular billboard, and it to me has smacks a little bit of unfairness, of a little bit of an ex post facto quality to it.
Mr. Southard.
Yes.
We're beyond that, sir.
Just a moment.
Has this been?
That particular language, that you don't have the current draft that was on the podium. That's
This
no
is the
longer
one
in
that
there.
was in. Yeah, I have the one that was published this morning.
Yeah, no, that language is no longer in there.
If it's been fantastic, then I thank you. I thank you all. Those are my concerns. I appreciate the work that's gone into this, and I appreciate again your willingness to listen to the business community. And thank you.
Yep. Just a moment, Mr. Southern, because I did want to, in case there's more dialogue that needs to be had about the first one that you raised about the vehicle signage. Commissioner Burns, did you have a question or a thought on that, a comment on that? Can we get some clarification perhaps from Mr. Morris on what?
No, I think Mr. Morris had the,
I'm the one who
Okay.
brought it up.
Oh, you brought it up.
I brought
Sorry.
it up.
Okay.
Mr.
Did
Morris,
you want
I
to speak
think-
to that?
I think, well, I'll turn it over to Mr. Morris and
Okay.
have him explain it.
Sure, thank you again, Mayor. So the intent is not to prohibit wrapped vehicles. It's those wrapped vehicles that are parked in a location that's not that is somewhere that's not on the business premises for extended periods of time for the purpose of advertising. I think that's what the intent, trying to remove those vehicles. So if it's the vehicles used for any legitimate purpose, any day-to-day activities, any business, whatever, it's fine. It's when you park it at a location for extended period of time for the sole purpose of just having it be basically a mobile billboard and a mobile advertising unit. And it remains there. That's the intent. And so-
Mr. Mayor, for purposes of enforcement, I would wonder who is responsible here. Is it the property owner or is it the business that's advertising?
So I believe it would be the owner of the vehicle, because the way the sign code is enforced, it would be the owner of the sign. So in this case, it would be the owner of the vehicle that would be subject to enforcement.
Okay, all right, thank you. Did that help
Mr.
with
Southern,
that?
just to clarify, it's my understanding this current one is back here, available for, if you'd like to pick it up.
Right, and I will, and I thank you for that. No, the one that I was working with was the one that was printed in the, with the agenda that was available this morning. So thank you, and I will grab that. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mr. Southern.
Thanks. Anything else, Mr.?
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this? Yes, please. It's Mr. Ellis, right?
Yes, thank you.
Yep. If we could have your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, Brian Ellis. Business address is 1020 West 21st. I'm a county resident, but on the business. The first is I have a question. I have a prepared statement on behalf of the chamber, but in reference to 17.45.130 on non-conformality, I just have a question on replacement value versus permit value. And it's just a general question, is if you take a look at the permit value and it's 10 years later and we're in an inflationary, as far as cost of replacement, it's going to be what the inflationary value will be. I know in one of the original drafts, they took a look at both of those as an option. And it was just a general question on how that would impact businesses if we replaced it at permit value 10, 15 years ago. Okay. So I do have a prepared statement. I had the opportunity to chair the Chamber of Commerce's committee that we put together on about the 15th. So the first thing I'd just like to do is thank you for the council members, the city manager, the attorneys, the mayor, for the participation that we had on Monday at the forum. I think it was a unique opportunity that we had, and I'm quite personally very thankful to have that. It was an opportunity for dialogue for the chamber board to hear from a representative number of our community businesses that provided insights to the concern and impact in the previous draft language that would have had your local business constituents. We received strong in-person and Zoom attendance for the forum, and the chamber staff continued to receive calls about proposed ordinance and the impact it would have on business operation and finances. The Chamber and CIDC represent approximately 750 business organizations. Specific to this subject matter, we share the common desire to improve the aesthetic value and maintain neighborhoods characteristics of our community. We will continue to monitor regulatory issues that pose the potential for adverse impact in our representative organization. The Chamber is in general agreement that there are areas in our community that need aesthetic improvement. We agree that these areas need to be cleaned up. We disagree with the suggestion that current active businesses throughout most arterial and collector roads are the cause of these areas of blight and abandonment. There is also current city resolution and ordinance that addresses abandoned properties to clean these areas in question, and the commission has already acted on many of these spaces, and we're thankful for that. We appreciate the prompt revisions to the ordinance to delete the language that have retrospectively applied to current businesses and their fixed assets such as signage. While they are highly appreciative of the consideration of making changes to the ordinance, we would like to prospectively make a request to the commission on behalf of the chamber. The City of Clovis, the Chamber of Commerce, and City and Clovis Industrial Development Corporation are joined for common purpose. At times, changes in regulations can have a negative impact that may or may not be intended. As a voice for local businesses and as citizens of Clovis, in the future, we would request that timely notification of these types of changes are made to anyone that could be impacted. Governing in a vacuum is not beneficial to the people that it should represent. I've heard the mayor and commissioners and their representatives repeatedly express in public forums their desire to listen to the people. With these changes in the ordinance, we are appreciative of the commission's active listening. We are not apathetic about this process and vow to be better. We hope that that effort is reciprocated. Again, we'd like to thank you for the opportunity. By working together, we can improve this community for our businesses and our residents. Thank you.
I know we had some folks join the meeting by video this evening. Is there anyone on video conference that wishes to share with us? All right.
No,
Anyone
IT
else
says
in the
there's not
room that would like to share? Good evening, sir. Can we have your name and address, please?
Brian Ashburn, and it's 5240 Ponder Street. It's actually in Fort Worth.
All right.
Formerly 4312 Springwood Drive in Clovis, New Mexico for many years. So I work for Yes Way Allsups, and I'm here to say thank you for your consideration about grandfathering in the existing signs. We have 12 stores here in your fair city, and that will obviously help us greatly by grandfathering those signs in. And I just want to say we thank you for that and appreciate that very much. And we love Clovis.
Well,
That's all I have to say.
Well, that's very nice of you. Thank you.
bet.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Tom Palmer. I'm with Lindmark Outdoor Media. I'm actually from Roswell. I'm the real estate director or manager for Lindmark in New Mexico. I appreciate all the work that you guys have put into this. I've been through these kind of things before, and it's quite the undertaking changing out an ordinance, especially a sign ordinance. Appreciate it. Kudos to those people who are involved. My concern is that you are fixing to vote on an ordinance that essentially was final drafted or finally done this afternoon or this morning. And I don't believe everybody's had a chance to take a look at it. I know I haven't. When I came in, there was not a stack over there that had the ordinance, so I haven't even had time to review it. But that's my concern, is you're fixing to vote on an ordinance that essentially nobody's had a chance to review. And there you go. That's my comment. But I appreciate y'all's time.
Yep. Appreciate you. Thank you, sir. Anyone else that would like to share? Any luck finding out if the folks online can hear and wish to share? Okay. All right. Well, commissioners, any comments or questions at this point? Further debate?
Mr. Mayor, just as the gentleman come up a while ago, do you think that because of the time that we've spent very little, we should table this maybe and then let a few people explain some more things? Or I'm just, the cause I have had is, and of course it was before this final draft was come out, everybody said, well, I don't think we're ready for that. I think we need to table it. And so that's what my constituents have said to me. So wonder what your thoughts about that, Commissioners.
I mean, if you're asking me what my thoughts are, that is certainly up to you and the rest of the commission. As
asking the commissioners too.
Yeah. Thoughts, commissioners?
I have something.
Mayor, I'm sorry. I don't have the notion to table this. I feel like we've been working on it for about 45 days. I've been in numerous discussions with several attorneys around the state of New Mexico. They have given us some great feedback. I have responded to every phone call, text message, visit that I've received from anyone, and I feel like we have truly listened to their needs and their concerns. So I don't know if tabling it is going to get us anywhere at this point.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that viewpoint. I tend to agree with you, Commissioner Paula. Commissioner Madrid?
You know, we've been working on this for a long time, and most of the concerns have been addressed on this new resolution or this new deal we have here. Most of them have been addressed, so even if we table it and we bring it back the next time, it's gonna be the same as it is now. So it's not gonna make any difference one way or the other, I don't think, if we table it or not. I think it's gonna be the same thing, so.
Mayor,
Most
if
of
I
the
may.
concerns have already been addressed, so.
No, I agree, but if there is someone in the audience that does have a concern that's in this current packet, we'd most certainly love to listen to what they have, what their concerns are.
Mr. Morris, could you possibly speak a little bit about what's in this ordinance that came out at 2 o'clock today versus what was in it prior?
Sure, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The biggest changes were received after the chamber meeting on the 3rd, which I believe was Monday. And so the substantive changes would be after that meeting.
Excuse me, Mike, please.
Yes, sir. The substantive changes came after the chamber meeting on the 3rd of this week. And those would be basically, we had 5 or 6 alternatives to not grandfather in signs. And we were debating whether we, should use those or should one or none of them. So the biggest change is that those were all removed, and as the mayor pointed out, essentially all signs are grandfathered except temporary and easily moved directional signs. The last minute changes that I made as recently as today had to do with playing with the wording of a couple of the definitions, in particular the definition of billboard, to make sure that we're in compliance with the newest case law, and it's the result of meetings I had with outside counsel as recently as yesterday. So I feel great about the definition we've come up with. I think it's novel, I think it's content neutral, and I think it works and gets us where we want to be. But no, the version that was published with the commission packet that's online that everybody should have access to, while there's some stylistic changes and some typos corrected, et cetera, the only real substantive changes I can think of are the removal of those grandfather triggering provisions, an increase in flagpole height size from 25 feet to 30 feet on collector and arterial streets.
We also cleared up the language regarding flags, and so the intent of the initial language, as is still shown here, is that you can fly any government-sanctioned flag that there is, plus an additional 4 flags. So it wasn't intended to say you can only fly 4 flags. You get all the government-sanctioned flags plus an additional 4. So we cleaned up that language to try to clarify that as well.
And the
Glad
very
you
last
did.
change that came in, I think the mayor had suggested, opening up and loosening the language on special events to allow for churches to have Vacation Bible School and other events. And so the last change I made was loosening up that language to allow for organizations and businesses to have special events with additional signs.
Thank you. So the majority of the concerns that we have heard, either at the chamber meeting or prior to this meeting, have been addressed, correct?
Every single concern I heard at the chamber meeting had to do with the grandfathering in. Mr. Snowberger mentioned something about flags. I couldn't hear because I attended virtually, but I think it was a request to increase flag heights, which we've done. So as far as I know, every concern that I've received from you all has been addressed and taken out.
Thank you.
Yeah, commissioners, I think while, some people were upset about some of the options for triggers and whatnot that we were considering, I think that what's happened here has actually been really great because you've all acted in good faith and on your own values and your own thoughts, but also listening to the public. And then we've taken meetings with business owners, and we've got a sign company owner that virtually everything in here was provided by that sign company owner. And You know, you've done a great job. We all know that we've also heard from folks over the years that, or not just over the years, but I've heard from folks as late as today that were in favor of having some triggers for conformity, that understand that, you know, that when it comes to signs, perhaps less is more, or less is better. And so, you know, we've heard a balanced debate, while we heard this week, we've heard very much one side, but we've done a good job of listening. You've done a good job of listening. I don't see what postponing would help or accomplish, but we certainly could if that's what you wanted to do. It is up to you. What is your will?
Mayor.
Sir.
Does anybody in the audience want to give any more information about what they think about this? I mean, a lot of people here, not too many spoken, so yeah, we might do that.
Yeah, Mr. Ellis wants to visit again.
I would just like to make a comment. First of all, that from the chamber, we're in support of this as it stands right now. Our concerns were met. I think what I was hearing was there's process problems, what I was concerned with. And I think that that's a valid thing to take a look at that I referenced earlier. I think it's different to go through the ordinance process when I don't know which copy I'm looking at, I don't know which draft. So, you know, I work in a regulated field that continuous performance improvement, and we take a look at that. And so maybe just a suggestion is as drafts come along, that if they could be labeled as such as draft 1 and 2 or dated to where it'd make it easier, because if I pick up a packet, well, this is still 21 pages, it's 21 pages, now we have 20. And so that's just a process suggestion improvement. And I think the issue of public notification on a timely basis is valid. Because if you want people to be able to take a look at it, as the business community, we've tried to stay on top of it, but I guess the question is what about citizens? Is there a place for them to take a look at it to where they would have known a revision was in place at 2 o'clock this afternoon or not? I understand, according to the way the process works, that may not be required, but it may be a suggestion to take a look at that when you're dealing with something that stretches as far as it does, that it's considered to be accomplished. So,
Mr. Ellis, did you say that the chamber does not oppose the way it's drafted right now?
the final copy that we took a lock, no, we were in support of it, so.
So you were opposed when we met on Monday, you were opposed to what we were doing?
Well, I believe that you said it yourself just before I stepped up, that yes, you knew that you heard a lot. Of course, we had a lot of people that this sign ordinance would have negatively impacted in the community through a number of different reasons.
I noticed you put a petition out for people to sign if they were opposed to it. Did you also put a petition out to your members to ask if anyone was in favor of it?
First of all, I didn't put a petition out. We did contact through the chamber.
Okay.
Any petitions that was through
I saw a link to a petition within the invite to the meeting.
As far as, where was that petition at?
In the body of the invite. I didn't mean
I'm
to put
not
you on
aware
the,
of that.
I didn't mean to put you
I
on the
know
spot on that.
as a private citizen, I signed a ordinance that it was at change.org. That was not initiated through the chamber, though.
Okay.
That was from a private citizen. And I believe that that would probably be a protected discussion under this perspective.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Kolick.
Hi, Larry Kolick, 15 North Village Drive, Mayor and Council. I approve of a lot of the ordinances, but the sign ordinance that I read seems to be fairly good. The only issue that I have is who's going to enforce this? Do we have something in the budget for somebody to gonna go out, especially like this 9.5 by 11 sign in a window and temporary signs? Who's gonna monitor that? And how I mean, is there, we're gonna have a person that's going around? Because right now, we've got ordinances that are not being enforced. We don't have enough people that work for the city. We can't find enough people to work. And now we're going to have an ordinance that requires somebody to go around and look at 8.5 by 11 signs in somebody's window. And what is that gonna be? Is that gonna be like the weed deal where it only gets implemented when somebody calls and complains to the city and then they go over and write them up? That's basically what happens. And I can list off a bunch of ordinances that are not implemented. Once that they're approved, we just don't have the staff or the manpower or the budget to facilitate it. So adding more bureaucracy, I guess we're filling out more paperwork. But if we don't have somebody to enforce them, what good is it? So, but I'm all in favor for size. I'm all in favor for setbacks. I'm all in favor for heights. I'm all in favor for engineering. I think all that's good. I mean, I'm working all over the state and all over Texas, and they have sign ordinances. But they actually have people in their staff that implement it and enforce it. And we don't have people here to do that. We can hardly fill our public safety positions in our police department and our fire department and all the other city positions. We've got vacancies, and so how are we going to do that? And if it's not in the budget, just think of how many thousands of signs are out there of somebody to monitor those. So that's the only thing
I think that's valid, and your point is not lost on me. We have lots of challenges that we're facing, a lot of them, but that doesn't negate the need to make a good move toward a more orderly Clovis, right? And so it was important for us to take this work up and get it in place. But you're absolutely right. Staffing is a challenge at every business, as it certainly is at the city of Clovis. But with this in place, we have some good standards to go forward with. And
well, I guess the question is are we going to budget something in the budget for? Do we have an idea what it's going to take to staff to monitor that? I mean, we're passing something, but we don't know what it's going to take to staff somebody to do that.
I think
it's got to come out of a budget line item somewhere.
I'll just speak for myself, and perhaps one of the commissioners or more would like to join in, or we may even ask Mr. Howalt to weigh in on this, because ultimately it's up to him to request the budget to do that kind of thing. But in my mind, I don't see the city of Clovis out policing this, right? But going forward, now we have standards in place so that when permits are applied for, there's a standard for how high and how large your sign is going to be, and all of those things. And then for that neighborhood, for the nuisance in the neighborhood that, maybe they're doing something with signs or whatever, flags or whatever, that's a problem for their neighborhood. Now there's something that the city can do to react to a complaint from a neighbor, for example.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
It's got to be back to the citizens knowing what the ordinance is. And if they see a violation, they're calling the city, and then the city will act on it. That's basically what's happening with the weed ordinance.
Mayor,
Mr. Kolick, we can find a problem with everything, but I did like what you had to say about that you mostly like it, because I do know that you build commercial buildings and projects all over the place, and so I'm glad to hear from somebody who is experienced that you think that what we've done here is good overall.
I went through it quickly, but I see a couple little things there, but I'm not in the billboard business, so, but everything else, I mean, I've got businesses all over that have signs, so I got to be careful of what I'm representing, so, but most of you I know, and I appreciate it, and I thank you for your time.
Yeah, appreciate you. Anyone else? Commissioners, what would you like to do?
Mayor, can I make a brief comment just about the process for the benefit of the commission?
Yes, please.
A lot of this happened behind the scenes, but I sort of wanted to respond to what Mr. Ellis said. About 14 months ago, we had our first study session with planning and zoning, which was published. Community involvement was solicited. And that same month in December, Brandon New formed this Clovis Sign Committee, which included the Chamber of Commerce, which included CIDC, and about 15 other members of the Chamber and local business owners. I'd say 4 or 5 of whom are still in the room today. So involvement from business owners and the Chamber has been sought and solicited going back at least 14 months. I know Mr. Howalt's attended Chamber meetings where he's announced that we're working on the sign code. So, I haven't seen everything that's gone on, but my work on the sign code has shown that that there's been public involvement all along the way from just about the same people who are involved now.
Yeah. So. Great points. Thank you, Mr. Morris.
Mayor, I think we've we've addressed prior to this meeting and at this meeting, we've addressed the concerns of the public and the business owners and the business population out there as to what we're doing and the changes that we're making in the ordinance. So I am going to make a motion to approve.
Second it.
We have a motion to approve from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant and a second from Commissioner Madrid. Is there any further debate? Hearing and seeing none, what is before you is the approval of adoption of ordinance number 2158-2022. Commissioners, please vote. And the vote is unanimous, 7-0. The motion is carried. Thank you. And once again, thank you to everyone who has shared with us on this item. We appreciate the input, and I think we're doing good when we're taking input, and you're helping us shape policy. Thank you. We will move on to item 2 under this section, and it is request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3101-2022 pertaining to sidewalk dining and establishing annual permitting fees and insurance requirements. And Ms. Burrows is going to advise on this. Ms. Burrows.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. Good evening again. At your December 16th meeting, you adopted an ordinance regarding outdoor dining on city sidewalks in the central business district, which of course is in the downtown area. And the resolution that's before you, the Commission action request is on packet page 82, relates to recommended permitting fees and insurance requirements for restaurants wishing to provide outdoor dining in that area. And there's a fee schedule in your packet. And then, as I mentioned, a requirement, or a recommended requirement for insurance of adding the city as an additional insured in the amount of $1 million. There's a draft of the resolution in your packet, and I stand for any questions or thoughts as to how you would like to proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burrows. Appreciate that. Commissioners, I think when we had a little bit of debate when this was introduced, we were all very excited about the idea of seeing sidewalk dining downtown in the central business district. I was visiting with, I visited with at least one business owner downtown regarding this. Actually, Commissioner Rowley and I did. And I know Commissioner Rowley and I had some conversation around the fees. Commissioner Rowley, did you have anything you would like to add?
The only thing I would like to add, Mayor, is I would like to see the fees at least maybe cut in half, if not more, just because some of those aren't feasible for all business owners downtown, especially in the time they've been going through with COVID and everything. I mean, some of the smaller businesses we've clearly seen struggle, and there's not very many down there, so I don't think we want to try and push them away from doing this. So that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, thanks. I agreed. I agree with that. That we should at least consider lowering them, just because I did check with the city manager to ask about were there some good reasons why, like some expected expenses that the city would now be going to as a result of this that would need to be covered, because we'd certainly want to look out for the city in that respect. But it sounds like we do have some freedom here to set these wherever you would like, commissioners. And I would suggest let's get them as close to zero as possible, so that these downtown businesses have the opportunity to give this a try. I mean, I think it should cost something, but let's consider lowering them. What are your thoughts?
Just a little clarification. So right now, we're asking for $250 one time as long as that business is there, then an additional $750 or $500 or whatever per year? Is that the
Yes,
way
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. That's what it.
I agree. That's excessive.
So are we talking about reducing the application fee or reducing the application fee and the permit fee?
I think we ought to talk about both.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah, and in in visiting with at least one business owner, and then in conversation that I happened to have with Commissioner Rowley on that, we thought that, why not cut all of that in half? But I'm not so sure that's far enough. After visiting with our Main Street director, Lisa Pellegrino-Spear, she actually reached out to, other cities around the state and asked, what it is there. For one thing, there's a limited number of those out there to sample, but for the ones that are doing it, they have, considerably lower fees. I want to say like $50 or something like that.
Mayor, I have a comment.
Yeah.
I agree. I would rather see the businesses use their annual money for improvement on their outdoor furniture and things that they're going to have and purchase to have outdoor dining. But I have one question for the city. Is it costing the city any money to, I guess, have the outdoor dining that we need to cover?
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners, Commissioner Paula. There were, obviously, with the application process and what was established, there will be some costs associated with reviewing the initial application.
Okay.
And making sure that it is in compliance with the ordinance that y'all set in place. And then on annual going forward, just making sure that they stay in compliance with what was permitted. I would add that allowing a business to utilize city property, especially for business
Can't do it for free.
operations. Yeah,
Yeah.
we start running into the anti-donation clause. I realize that this is in our MRA district. I've read the Metropolitan Redevelopment Act, and I don't see the authority granted within that act for us to completely ignore and not charge something. The way that I initially structured those fees, based off was how much space are you using? And so obviously if you're using a minimal space and then start stepping it up, more square footage that you're using. It's obviously at your discretion on what those fees should be, but that was my thought process behind trying to develop and just essentially putting something in front of you for you to start the conversation.
No, I think that makes sense. And the $250 application fee, I'm just thinking of cost to the city itself. You're going to have to send an employee out there to measure, help them set up the space. So, I mean, that's going to cost the city $250 to get it set up initially. I'm kind of okay with the application fee. If we want to lower the annual fee, I think that's.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Pollock. Commissioner
Mr.
Garza?
Mayor, I agree with that. The city will incur the cost of personnel and going over there and paperwork. But I think the businesses will be generating revenue for the city to begin with. So why do we want to bother with that and put the burden on them to do that? I'm okay with a $250 application fee and no annual fee.
No permit
So
fee.
just make it a $250 permit fee that includes.
Yes.
But Mayor, if I may, I don't think we can legally do that. Am I wrong?
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. So the because I looked at a number of different ordinances when I drafted the ordinance at issue that we adopted last month. Most cities seem to adopt a nominal fee, like you mentioned, something around $50. So I do think we need to have a nominal annual fee, something to cover us under the anti-donation clause. So maybe reduce the application fee and charge a $50 annual fee. But we do need to have some sort of annual fee.
I second that.
So what would we do with the application fee? Would we consider lowering that or not?
I mean, we can put a price to what the employees are going to be incurring on time and work.
Yeah, and let's not forget your excellent point, Commissioner Garza, and that is that, these businesses now are more than likely going to generate more revenue for themselves and therefore for the city.
Well, if we get closed down again, then the only place you're going to be serving people is on the sidewalk. So with that, I take the $50 fee, dining permit fee, and $200 application fee. Something that is fair and is not put a burden on the city with the anti-donation clause.
You put that in the form of a motion?
That's my motion.
So just to summarize, Commissioner Garza, your motion is to amend what we're looking at to a $200 application fee and a $50 annual permit fee?
Correct.
Second.
And then,
Yes, Ms. Burrows.
does that include the insurance requirement as well? Thank you.
Yes, well, Commissioners, let's discuss that. The insurance requirement, I think, is appropriate, and I just kind of assumed that we would want to approve that language in there, but is there any debate or discussion on that?
I think that's proper thing to do, to have that insurance requirements in place for
Okay.
the benefit of the city.
Very good. So let me see if I can round this up. We have a motion to approve, but with changing the one-time application fee to $200 and the annual right-of-way dining permit to $50. And this includes the requirement to provide a $1 million in liability insurance, making the city the additional insured on the business's policy. That motion came from Commissioner Garza, and we had a second from Commissioner Madrid. Is there further debate? Hearing and seeing none, Commissioners, please vote. And the vote is unanimous, 7-0. The motion is carried. Nothing to deal with under unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business this evening. And there we have two items. The first is request for approval of submittal of capital outlay reauthorization request to Governor Lujan Grisham in the amount of $750,000 for the Wellness Center to assist with the construction cost of the Hillcrest Senior Center. And to advise on that, Ms. Burrows.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. On packet page 85, there's an explanation of this request. Due to the rise in the cost of construction projects nationally, the cost of the Hillcrest Senior Centers comes in more than 1.6 million more than the estimated amount, not including tax or bid alternates, which included a parking lot. Staff's been working on potential ways to bridge the funding shortfall. These include asking for capital outlay during the session for the project, seeking federal assistance, and working with aging and long-term services on potential funding. The funding allocated for the construction of Hillcrest Senior Center is $750,000 from a community development block grant funding with a $250,000 match from the City of Clovis and an aging and long-term services GO bond in the amount of $4.7 million. The City of Clovis received a $750,000 award from Governor Lujan Grisham during the 2021 legislative session to assist in funding the next phase of the Wellness Center. As the city did not receive the Defense Communities Infrastructure Program funding that we were looking for last year, it doesn't currently have matching funds to move forward with the next phase of this project. So in order to assist the Hillcrest Senior Center project, a request could be submitted to Governor Lujan Grisham asking for, to reauthorize these funds towards the construction of the senior center to help bridge that funding gap. And so we're reaching to you this evening to obtain your thoughts regarding this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burrows. Appreciate that explanation. This is a challenge that I'm afraid we're going to see a lot of, and that is bids coming back higher than we would have thought as we see inflation, especially with construction and materials used in construction and so forth. So we would be asking for a reauthorization of the $750,000 that the governor previously committed to us. Are there any questions, comments?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Garza, second from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. Any further debate? Very well, please vote. Vote is 7-0, and the motion is carried. Thank you. Next is item 2 under new business, and it is request for approval to bind property and liability insurance with Travelers for calendar year 2022. And we have Mr. Brian Jones here this evening to advise on this. Mr. Jones?
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, I will resist my propensity to make a long-winded speech about this. Surprise, insurance is going up, but the good news is it's only 7% overall. We've had long discussions with our brokers who happen to be, yes, they have called in to answer any questions you might have.
Oh, very good. And Mr. Jones, just remind me and the commission who our brokers are with. Is it the municipal league or?
They work with a company called Hub.
Hub, okay. All right.
They do all the negotiating, and they go out and they search the marketplace and get our insurance for us.
Okay.
They work for us to get us the best deal we can possibly get on insurance.
Okay. Thank you for that, Mr. Jones. And who do we have from Hub?
We have Lori and Kevin.
Lori and Kevin.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Kevin. Good evening, Lori.
Hello.
So, Mr. Jones already indicated that it's a 7% overall increase. Are there any major changes to coverage limits or those kinds of things?
The biggest adjustment is going to be regarding the city's cyber liability. There were some, and this was indicated earlier in the session this evening, that there's been a lot of work from your new IT gentleman on the insurance. And so both he and the previous IT employee have been helping with the cyber policy, excuse me. Limits did decrease, excuse me. However, we requested that they match the limits from the previous term. And Lori, if you want to speak on that, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah. So the cyber industry is a tough market right now. The limit that you currently have is a 5 million limit, and currently we have a 1 million limit quote for you. The retentions have also gone up on that quote, and the premium has gone up, and it's the nature of the cyber market right now. We're trying to find an excess cyber market to take on some limit for you that you're losing out on. In the with municipalities, it's getting tough out there for cyber. Cyber is based on personal identifiable information that you keep. At a municipality, you have information on every person in your city. And so one cyber hack can wipe out a lot of things. And if you've just heard about Bernalillo County, they just got hit really bad. So this cyber was a tough one this year, and to come up with a 1 million limit was actually luckily that we got that much so far.
So that's concerning. Commissioners, did you just hear that we're now exposed by another 4 million in the cybersecurity risk? Thanks for that explanation. Are there any questions? Anything else?
May I also say on this also, your cyber policy, we have a little bit of time still to come up with more limits. The unfortunate part of that is more premium also comes involved with more limit.
Okay.
And if I apologize.
Thank you for that, Lori. Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay, I was just going to say, if I may, as Lori indicated, we're still working to find, when I say find, we're requesting these from the underwriters, these higher limits, and we're negotiating with them. And as Lori had said, that does come, more coverage typically comes with more premium. What we're going to be doing, though, I wouldn't want anyone in the city to think that we'd be getting things in place without approval or communication. And I just want to assure everyone, especially on the commission, that we're in communications very often with city staff, and to the point where they might be tired of us. But we're working hard to get these in place and getting the correct limits. But again, nothing is bound without approval from the city.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Jones?
I would like to quickly add a big thank you to the IT department. Without their help and the work they've done over the last month, weeks, we might not even have cyber insurance, to be quite honest. So they have really stepped up and helped on this one.
Very good, thank you. All right, so with no other major changes in our plan of protection, 7% increase. Commissioners, any other comments or questions? Do any of you serve? Do we have an insurance committee?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you serve on that? Or?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our insurance committee is more related toward our health insurance, not necessarily our general.
Oh, okay, okay. I was just curious about that. Okay. Very good.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Madrid, second from Commissioner Garza. Unless there's any more debate, commissioners, please vote. By a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried. Thank you. Next is reports of boards, officers, and committees. Obviously, we just came off of the holidays, so there weren't a lot of meetings taking place, but are there any reports this evening? Nope. All right. Very good. Then next would be future agenda items. Mr. Howalt or Ms. Burrows, is there anything to discuss in the way of future agenda items?
And the only thing I have on the agenda right now, Mayor, is for the airport for a PAPI recommendation of award, but that's all we have at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Always look forward to seeing agenda items related to the airport. Mr. Harris isn't paying attention to me right now. So. I was throwing you a bone. Any other future agenda items?
Not that I'm aware of, Mr. Mayor.
Not this evening? Okay. Well, then in that case, we'll move on to announcement of date, time, and place of city board and commission meetings. First one there, I'm very excited about that one and taking up the work of shaping the LEDA for retail policy. The LEDA task force, which you appointed commissioners recently, will have its first meeting at 4 p.m. on Monday, January 10th in the Ingram room of the library. Water Policy Advisory Committee will meet at 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday, January 11th, here in the North Annex. Mayor Pro Tem, you've mentioned to me that you're going to have the administrator from the Water Utility Authority give a report there.
Yes, we are.
That's good. That's good. Lodgers Tax Advisory Board will meet at 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, January 11th, here in this room. Planning and Zoning Commission will meet at 3 p.m. on Wednesday, January 12th, here in the North Annex. City Hall will be closed on Monday, January 14th for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day observation. And we will have a Finance Committee meeting at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, January 19th at City Hall. And then our next City Commission meeting will be at 5:15 Thursday, January 20th. So as you can see, we have a lot of meetings between now and the next time we meet. Commissioners, appreciate all you do. It's a pleasure serving with you, and we are adjourned.